Hello and welcome to my talk on handling bank holidays in Azure Synapse. So a little bit about me, fully remote contractor consultant. I've worked at a bunch of different places. I'm really interested in Azure data platforms and various other things. I run something called dailyDatabricks.tips. If you're interested, feel free to have a look and catch up afterwards. Some context around this talk, right? So I'm kind of making an assumption you understand roughly what a Synapse pipeline is, and that's, it's used to orchestrate kind of data movement and transformation in your data platform. I'm also kind of assuming you have a rough idea of what bank holiday is, and that's kind of a predefined public holiday, generally when banks and financial institutions are closed, but can be cultural or religious holidays as well, depending on what country it's in. And why do we need to handle them? Well, bank holidays often, affect data processing schedules. Data may not be available on bank holidays. And also, if there's no users around, it just kind of helps save with costs. There's no point processing data if no one's going to look at it. One of the problems, obviously, at the moment, though, is that Synapse pipelines don't really natively support bank holidays. And I came across this problem because of that kind of issue. So we had a client with financial trading data on exchanges, and ultimately exchanges are closed on bank holidays, and we had to get push data from a third-party provider. The whole mess that was there, and unfortunately we couldn't validate the file was there easily, so we had to make sure the pipelines didn't process data on bank holidays. But why can't Synapse support bank holidays at the moment? Well, there's kind of three main triggers, right, in Synapse. Schedule triggers, kind of execute on a fixed schedule, and they're super powerful too, right? Schedule triggers can do all sorts of stuff, like the last Sunday of a month, every third Thursday at 1 p.m. do something, right? It's pretty powerful. You just can't understand the concept of bank holidays because they're not really on a fixed schedule. Tumbling window triggers, again, they kind of do non-overlapping repeating time windows, and event-based triggers, which useful for file uploads or event grid events, really good at processing stuff on demand in ADF. But none of them handle bank holidays, unfortunately. So how would we handle bank holidays? Well, the kind of four solutions pop in my head, and we're going to look at one of them, but we can talk through all of them, right? You'd maybe use an external system to orchestrate Synapse or ADF or whatever kind of platform you're orchestrating with via an API. Probably something like an Azure function. You can execute it and have the function take away the complexity. The problem is there's more complexity and more components now in your platform, and one of the main benefits of ADF maybe is the triggers. It's kind of been taken away, right? Because you've kind of offloaded it to something else you have to build and maintain yourself. You can drop blank files in on bank holidays. So if you're not doing tons of processing after you receive data, or you're doing kind of incremental change data capture stuff, so if no data is changed, no onward processing, potentially ask your data provider or however you get data to have blank files on bank holidays. Really easy, keep it simple. Make the problem go away by making it not a problem. Love that solution, but it's not possible always. And you can also build something similar to kind of solution one. You can make everything based on trigger events, right? And just never send a trigger, a custom event to kind of your event trigger on bank holidays, right? Your pipeline would always execute when it needs to and wouldn't execute when it didn't. But again, additional complexity, and just it just quite it makes all your pipelines now have to run a certain way. How do you make developers trigger it in the same way? You're building this whole ecosystem just to kind of solve a bank holiday problem. And you could just do what we're going to look at, which is trigger it every day, or every weekday, and just check if it's a bank holiday. And if not, if it's not, carry on, and if it is, just stop. Right? Let's just not do anything today. It's a bank holiday. We don't need to process any data. And ultimately, that's it, right? You could, another option, right, is let it fail, but ultimately, failure is bad. It makes people kind of get into a mindset of failures are acceptable in production systems, and I don't think they should ever be kind of normalized or acceptable. So what we're going to do, right? We're going to handle bank holidays. Going to do thing for part 4 is we're going to probably fetch some bank holidays, right? So we'll fetch it via a static file, or to get a list of bank holidays. Government API is pretty good for this. And we'll save those probably in a storage place if you want to. It's always good to kind of control your own destiny and have your own disaster recovery. Don't rely on third parties. If it's something simple, you can do yourself. And a pipeline logic, so we'll input some logic to check the current date, is it a bank holiday, and then conditional activities are in ADF to kind of skip processing, right, on bank holidays. And I just have a look at the data, right? So the government API for bank holidays is pretty good. It's pretty big too. If you run this code, you get a response. It looks like this, right? You get every day, with there's a bank holiday and an array, and some notes about it, right? So the funeral for Queen Elizabeth II was a bank holiday, and the coronation for the king was a new bank holiday, and all the normal ones. So you can kind of go through and have a look. Really useful. So if we start to build something out of that, it's quite powerful. But there are other calendars, right? So some posts here. We're going to focus on the Azure Open Datasets one as well as part of the demo in a moment. But have a look, check each one has pros and cons. So whatever's best for your platform. Again, we'll revisit our logic before I go through the demo. We're going to get some bank holiday data. We're going to check if today's a bank holiday. We're going to yes, it is. Continue if it is, and no, terminate if not. And that's really, really simple. So, right, jumping into the demo, you can kind of see a couple of things. I've got, a Synapse workspace that has two pipelines. One of those is from the blog post, and we'll come into that in a moment. Another one is just to kind of show you something. So it lets you copy the Azure Open Data Set that has public holidays for pretty much every country in the world, up to 2098, I believe. So a really, really big data set that you can go filter and have a look at. So you might want to ingest that into your own platform and use that if you've got, various different countries and use cases for this kind of, approach in mind. Quite powerful, quite useful. Again, code is provided at the end, so it's quite helpful. And this is the one from the blog post, but also the one we kind of talked about in the PowerPoint, right? So we're going to use a government API. It's government.gov.uk. We're using a web activity to grab that and pull all the data back. Use a filter activity to go look through those, and grab today's date or the date we pass into the pipeline. Is it, bank holiday? And then set a return or a pipeline variable, if it's a bank holiday. We can also use this as a return value for a pipeline, and then you can start packaging this up as a an execute pipeline activity that you can reuse across various different pipelines and kind of patterns within your platform. We'll give you a quick demo of this. So if I run this now, that's my birthday. That's not a bank holiday, so I know that's definitely not going to give a true result. If I look at it, I've got all my bank holiday data, right? For England and Wales, you can see there's different bank holidays. I, returned nothing. There's no value output because there is nothing matching my conditions. Now there's 75 bank holidays I've got in that data set. And, it's set the variable to false. If I try this again, but let's choose something I definitely know is a bank holiday, right? So I'm going to choose the 1st of Jan, right? I believe that should be a bank holiday. Let's find out. Then what we'll end up with is a bank holiday? Look, it is, right? We found one item. It's New Year's Day, right? And bunting is available. And then that will set the value to true. So you end up, being able to skip things based upon this. It's quite useful. Final thing before I go, got the Azure Open Dataset directly from blob storage. You can do that. And I can query it here. So I'll show you a quick brief look at it. And then you can see Argentina, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Colombia, Denmark, Japan, quite a lot. Countries, Scotland, New Zealand. That's not distinct, right? Because the distinct would load all the data, and I don't want to pay for that in my Synapse serverless pool. And if I want to look at a specific country, I can, right? So I can look at the United Kingdom. I can see that look at the data. It goes for a really long time into the future, so you've got lots of potential of building stuff. Go into other columns like, is it paid off, time off, right? Potentially, which maybe there's a different category of bank holidays you need to care about. So hopefully that helps kind of explain what you can start to do. And yeah, thank you for listening. Obviously visit the blog. I'll update it with the slides and everything at the bottom and all the code, and you'll be able to go away and have a go at implementing this yourself. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.